I just realized that rather than going to shows where very quiet singer-songwriters are drowned out, we could just have them perform at our desks.
And maybe it's the start of something, and maybe it's not, but we're certainly glad to have Laura Gibson here today.
Tiny Desk is easily the most iconic music show out right now. It strips away the glam, the auto-tune, and the entourage, and forces artists to do something almost unheard of these days, actually perform. But how did a concert series in an office behind an actual desk become a cultural iconic show and moment? This is the story of how Tiny Desk began. Back in 2008, singer-songwriter Laura Gibson was performing at South by Southwest, but no one cared. It was a loud bar and no one was listening. But actually, two people were. Bob Boilen and Stephen Thompson, both from NPR. They felt bad for Laura. Real bad. So they did something. They invited her to perform again, but this time at Bob Boilen's actual desk inside NPR's office in DC. The only audience that was there was the NPR crew and some employees who took the time out of their workday to listen to Laura perform in the office. Not a big crowd, but a dedicated one that cared to hear what she had to say. They recorded it, and boom, Tiny Desk was born. Bob and Steven kind of figured that this may not just be a one-off thing. So they created a few rules for what would become the backbone of what Tiny Desk is today. First, no payment. This is strictly promotional. 2, no vocal enhancements, no backtracks, and definitely no auto-tune. 3rd, and most importantly, everything, literally everything, has to fit behind the desk. Performers, artists, instruments, everything has to fit behind the Tiny Desk. And fun fact, the show's name came from Bob's actual band called the Tiny Desk Unit. And yes, the desk is tiny. NPR even did a full 360 video so you can see how cramped it is in that room. But that intimacy, that magic, it's not a studio, it's a literal office. You hear the audience laugh, clap, interact, and you also see artists relax and show personality, like they're hanging out after work. It's what makes the episode so personal and so meaningful. First, Tiny Desk stayed in Bob Boilen's musical bubble. Lots of indie, folk, and just NPR core acts. But something changed when new producers were asked to step in. Franny Kelly, one of those producers, made a bold move and actually booked T-Pain. That was one of the performances that kind of changed things around NPR. T-Pain, with no auto-tune, no hype men, just his raw talent, blew people away.
I know everybody's wondering where the auto-tune is going to come from. It's okay, I got it in my pocket. It's totally fine. You got it right here. It's all surgically inserted. So I guess we're gonna get to this.
Suddenly, folks who were never watching Tiny Desk before started to tune in. Even Bobby Carter, who started as an NPR intern, who now is one of the lead producers on the show, saw the shift. He said Tiny Desk had gaps in the music they covered, but after T-Pain, some of those gaps started closing. With time, Tiny Desk opened up a lot more. They started featuring more artists from different backgrounds. Latin artists, R&B singers, rappers, and a more complete reflection of the music we all actually listen to. It got cleaner too. In the past, it was a little awkward. Bob Boilen would kind of introduce artists as they came up in a way that never felt like really necessary.
When I was a kid, I bought a transistor radio for $5 and a little label from Listerine, and it was about 1966. And I remember hearing your voice coming out of there and making that
criminal
radio sound really big.
And kind of just hindered from the artist telling their own story and being the unique way that we know them now. It kind of felt like a middle school show and tell. Now we get the music right from the beginning, sometimes even before we see the artist on the screen. And they're able to tell their own story through the jokes they make between songs, introducing their crew, and etc.
This has to be the most lit office of all time. I'm fucking with y'all. Thank y'all. That's a vibe.
But even with the fame, Tiny Desk never forgot its roots. In 2014, they launched the Tiny Desk Contest, a way to find the more of the Laura Gibsons in the world in this digital muck we call the internet. Artists submit their own desk performances, and their winner gets a real shot to perform live. Careers have been launched, voices have been found, and every year the desk gets a little more crowded in the best way possible. In 2023, Bob Boilen retired after 35 years of work, but he left a message. He hoped Tiny Desk would keep its heart even as it grew bigger as a show. And honestly, I think it has. It's proof that raw, unfiltered talent still matters, that sometimes less production means more connection, and that even in an era of viral antics and clout chasing, we still all crave something very real. This is Objectively Speaking, where we focus on music and not the antics, kind of like Tiny Desk. If you like this video, hit the subscribe button, drop a comment, and I'll see you next time.